Hey y'all, welcome in. Let me tell you what's going on. Today we are making some briskets and we're going to do a bunch of them. My niece is getting married, and so this is the situation. She's got a wedding in just a few days. I'm going to start cooking some briskets to be served at the reception following the wedding. So the flurry of activity that's about to happen and what you're seeing here, sort of this all this expanse of items and mess and work and everything you're seeing is in preparation for that. So what we're doing is briskets. It's going to be, I've got 6 briskets that I bought from Costco. We're going to be doing these. They range in weight from 12 to 20 pounds. And I'm going to be rolling with, actually, so this is kind of cool. I'm going to be mixing Texas barbecue and Kansas City barbecue together, and it's going to be good. I'm looking forward to it. So what we're rolling with is post oak right here. I picked this up in Texas on my last trip there. So I've got post oak wood chunks that we're going to be using for the wood to smoke with. I'm using the Kingsford blue original charcoal, and as you can see, the fire is heating up. We're getting there. And I've got the Weber Smoky Mountain mostly together. This is my mess of cables, which is all my temperature probes. I'm going to be doing 3 pit probes just because I want to know. So I'm going to put one on each grate with the brisket so I kind of know what the temperature is with the brisket. And then I've got one for each brisket. So a total of 6. And yeah, man, it's going to be good. We're going to put this together. These will go, it's evening time. You can probably tell we're going to be doing this through the night. So I'll let these go all night. And they'll finish sometime tomorrow morning. And then I will probably start the second batch tomorrow night and run those through the night. We're going to let these chill. I'll bring you along and we can enjoy this together. So looking forward to it. And as always, the taste test is king. I might sneak a little bit before we get to the serving time just to make sure, it's not going to kill anybody or something. You don't want to have anybody get sick or die over it, So you got to, wink, wink, you got to take care of that. So moving right along here, I've got a pitcher of warm water ready to roll. I've already got some put in the water pan there in the Weber Smoky Mountain. As you can see over here, the chimney fire is lit and ready to go. I've got it set in the Weber, all prepared with the charcoal and a couple of chunks of wood to start with. So we're rocking and rolling here. It won't be long before we have the pit all together and just, letting the temperature kind of regulate. And we will shift gears to work in the, probably inside because it's starting to get dark. But I'll start working on the briskets, getting those prepped and ready to go on the pit. So yeah, it won't be too much longer. We're going to have actual meat out here to season and start to smell that, and then putting it on the fire to let it do its thing. Okay, so here's what's going on. I'm hungry. So yes, behind me is the smoker, and it's starting to smell amazing because I'm smelling the post oak wood. There's no brisket, there's no food, there's no seasoning yet. It's just the pit here, but the aroma is actually really good. But I'm hungry. So here's what's going on. Next door, in my grill, yes, hot dogs. We're going to do hot dogs. And as you can see, we have a lineup of sausages, some hot dogs here, and it's going to be good. So it's all you can eat hot dogs tonight while we work on getting the brisket and everything going. So that's what's going on. Don't tell anybody. Inside now, and several hot dogs later, this is what I'm working with on the brisket. So I have 3. These came from Costco. I'm gonna do 2 large ones and a smaller one because it's kind of the mix that I have right now. So this one is a big monster. It's a 20-pounder, a little bit, almost 21 pounds. This one is basically the same, just a little, maybe half a pound less. And then this one is much smaller at 13.5 pounds. So you can see the size difference when I come back like that. Like, this one's definitely smaller. These 2 are big. I'm not sure what this little piece is there and why they left that on there before they packaged it, but we'll trim it up. So we'll clean these up. I'll get the fat trimmed up appropriately on each of these, get them seasoned up, and get them on the smoker. So the Weber Smoky Mountains, I've modified mine so that I can actually put multiple grates in there, and I can adjust the height on each of them. But it comes standardly with 2 grates, one just above the water pan and then one right at the top. And those smokers run hotter on the top grate than they do the bottom. So the bottom grate will be cooler, the middle grate will be warmer, and then the top grate will be the warmest in the pit. So that will mean I will do this one on the very bottom, and I'll do, doesn't really matter because these two are basically the same weight. I'll do one of these on the middle and the other one on the top rack, which will allow me to hopefully get them cooked at a similar time frame as each other. Even though these are much bigger, this one should cook sort of similarly because the temperature will be less throughout the entire cook. So let me get these opened up and trimmed up and seasoned, and I will show you kind of what it looks like before we go on the pit. Actually, just before I get too carried away, let me show you what I'm going to season them with. So I told you it's a mix of Texas-style brisket and Kansas City-style brisket, which is going to make, I think, for a really good flavor. So the wood I'm using is typical of Texas, the post oak wood, but Texas a lot of times is traditionally salt and pepper. They may throw in some extra things they don't always tell you about, but generally you're talking salt and pepper. Kansas City, it usually does more rubs and mixtures of things, including paprika and other things usually mixed in. And so I'm going to go with my favorite barbecue restaurant in Kansas City, Joe's Kansas City Barbecue, and they have their big meat seasoning. This is what I'm going to go all over the briskets with. And then I'm going to add some additional black pepper to give it more of that Texas flavor. So we're going to do a little bit of a mix and hope that it turns out like we think it will. And voila, we have seasoned brisket. This is ready to go. This is one of the big 20-pounders sitting right here. Thing's huge. I mean, look at this. This is a full cookie sheet right here, and the brisket basically consumes it. I mean, there's an inch or two on either side, but it's pretty full. So here's the brisket. It's got the rub all on it, both sides, nice and thick. And then over here are the other briskets. This is the other 20-pounder here on top, and that's the small one underneath the 12-pounder. So these are ready to go on the smoker. I'm gonna go do that now and get the probes in them, and we'll kind of just sit back and let them do their thing. We'll check them all throughout the night, do a few things all along. At some point we'll wrap them, but for now, these bad boys are ready. All right, folks, so it is early in the morning. It's about, it's just a little bit before 7 o'clock. I put the briskets on at about 11:20 last night, so, they've been going for a little over 7 hours at this point, and I haven't really done much with them, so we're gonna see what they look like. It's about time, I think, to restock. The temperature has dipped just a little bit. We're running a little bit, we're running real close to 220 right now, which is a little bit on the low side. So at minimum, I need to stir up the fire and tend to that a little bit, but I probably need to add some more fuel as well. Let's open this up and just kind of take a quick peek at what we're looking at. So yeah, I thought that would be the case. We've got some pooling going on. You can see right there. These briskets, some of them, I think there's going to be a little bit of pooling probably on all three of them. It shouldn't be bad, but if you look, the looks pretty good. The temperature on these is right about where we want it, and it's time to wrap them basically. I've got to run my son somewhere right now, so I'll probably wrap these when I get back. Let's just take a quick peek at what the temperatures are. Now these things are yelling at me because I opened the lid, but all right, so the temperature on the brisket on the bottom rack is 161, and the temp on the brisket on the middle rack is, let's see, hold on a second, 156. So they're pretty similar. And then on the top rack, 159. So actually very similar. Now the one on the bottom, the small one, it got up to temperature, got to the stall much faster than the other ones did, but they've all been hanging out in the stall right now for a little bit. the one on the bottom for longer than the ones on the top. So I think the one on the bottom will finish faster than the others will. So what I'm going to do right now is just get this kind of tend to this fire. Yeah, you can see there's not a lot left in there. Hopefully you can see that. So I got to stir this up, get some added fuel, and then after I'm done running my son, I will get these briskets wrapped back on. We'll let them finish, and then we'll be ready to go. So yeah, moving right along, doing well. I did sleep last night, mostly. So that's a good thing when you're cooking. Sometimes you gotta forfeit the sleep to make the goods. So, but yeah, it's a beautiful morning here, and I'll be rolling here in just a minute with the wrapping. So it's about 9 o'clock, just a little bit before 9 o'clock, and I'm ready to wrap these briskets now. So you can see smoker's right behind me. I've got my butcher paper on this table here, ready to go, so I can wrap. And it's time to pull these briskets off and get them wrapped. Okay, we are all wrapped up, and just cleaning the grate right now. In here I gotta add some water to the water pan, but otherwise we are ready to put these back on. So there's our wrapped brisket, and gonna put these back on the smoker, let them cook for a while longer until they're ready to pull off and taste test. Here we are, just about how we started. If you look at the deck, I've got covers on stuff. Yeah. And my smoker's still cooling down. You still see I got my probes in there. I'm gonna have to do some more briskets in a day or so, maybe tonight. Although I think the ones that I have might still be a little bit frozen because I had a couple in the freezer that I just pulled out. So I might have to wait until tomorrow night to do it, but I figured I'd just leave the probes in there. That way they're ready when I'm ready, and I don't have to thread them back in again since I'm doing another cook so quickly. All right, let me take you inside. The briskets have come off. I think it's about, probably close to 4 o'clock. And the briskets are off and inside resting right now. So let me go inside and show you those. Inside now, and here they are. This is the one that was on the bottom. This is the small one. It was 13 pounds. And it was on the bottom rack, so that's why you see some chunks and sort of drippings from the ones on top that kind of collected on top of this one. And some of that is from when I cleaned the grates after I had wrapped them before I stuck the briskets back on. I put this one on and then kind of cleaned the grate on top of it. So some of that came from there, but then the drippings and stuff you can see there. This one was the one that was on top, so you don't see any of that up here, but if you look down here, you can see it's just oozing with stuff, juices and things. And this one was the one that was in the middle. It was so big that the top rack kind of rested on this one just a little bit, and that's why you see the lines there. But so these two here were 20 pounders, and they are resting now. They've been off for probably 20-ish minutes, something like that. I'm just gonna let them rest like that for maybe 45 minutes to an hour, somewhere in that neighborhood. And then we will take the butcher paper off, and I'm gonna rewrap them in foil, nice and tight, and get them chilling so that they can be cold. And then I'll slice them once they're cold for the wedding. So this is what we got going on. 3 briskets today. The smell is amazing, and I'm sad that I don't get to eat this right now. Although, as I mentioned before, we will probably, make sure it's not going to be deadly. Part 2 of our brisket cook starting now. We've got the smoker mostly ready. It's prepped right behind me. I have the chimney started. It hasn't been going for too long, so it still has a little ways to go. But yeah, we're getting there. We're getting really close. And so I actually skipped a night, and this is, I guess, 2 nights later than when I started the first batch. This will be the second batch, and the first batch went pretty well. The only thing that I've done really was just wrap it and stick it in the refrigerators. They've been sitting in the refrigerators since I got them completed. Once they rested for about an hour, I wrapped them in foil and stuck them in the refrigerator, so that's where they are. I'm gonna get this batch done and do basically the same thing with it. And then probably tomorrow or maybe the next day, I'll pull it out, slice it up, and we'll be ready to serve it for the wedding, which is that day. So this is rolling. My helper's right here behind me today. And she's keeping me company, so that's good. That's good. All right, so let me get this going. I think the next step, once I get the pit going, is just to get the temperature regulated. And while that's kind of working on regulating, I'll be inside prepping the next round of briskets. We have 3 of them. This time they range in weight from 12. I have a 12 pounder, a 15 pounder, and basically a 20 pounder. It's just under 20 pounds. So again, sort of a mix of weights. And so yeah, 2 of these were in the freezer. So I'm hoping that they are thawed now completely. They've been in the refrigerator for a little while. So I'm hoping that it's been long enough for them to thaw out. And that way we won't be trying to cook frozen meat. That's not a good thing. So yeah, this is round 2. Here's the 3 briskets I'm gonna do right now. This one is the one I called 20 pounds. It's really closer to 19, I guess. 19 pounds and 14.9, so basically 15 pounds and almost 13 pounds here. One thing I noticed, and I'm hoping this isn't a new change, Costco has always carried USDA Prime briskets. And I bought this one a while back, and it's Prime, as you can see. These 2 I bought more recently, and both of them are Choice, USDA Choice. So I'm hoping that is not like an intentional shift and a change from Costco's past to what they're going to be doing in the future. I hope this isn't a new trend. I hope maybe it was just a specific shipment maybe that they got that was Choice instead of Prime. But I'm a little concerned because it's literally always been Prime every time I've ever purchased a brisket from Costco, which has been years now. It's always been USDA Prime, and these last several that I just picked up recently were all Choice. So I'm hoping that's not the new normal for Costco, because it's been really nice to be able to get the Prime briskets from there. They have good meat, good quality meat, and reasonable prices on it. So I'm hoping that it shifts back and I can find Prime beef in there in the future. Anyway, let me get these cut open and trimmed up, and then we'll season them. Once I get them seasoned, they will be ready to go on the smoker. The smoker's regulated already, so it's all in a good spot. It'll take me a little while to get these trimmed up and seasoned though. And then I will throw on some post oak wood when I throw the briskets on, so that we can get that good Texas smoke on there. Here we are. These are the 3 briskets. They are all trimmed up, seasoned up, and ready to go on the smoker. That's where they're headed. Take a good look at those bad boys. Yeah, look at that. The meat's on the smoker now. This is the big 19 pounder on top. And then if you look close, you can see the other 2 down below. I've got the 12 on the bottom, the 15 pound in the middle, and this big 19 pounder on top. So now I just need to close that lid. If you're looking, you ain't cooking, they say, and let it do its thing. It's about 8 o'clock, maybe 8:30. I wrapped these briskets about an hour and a half ago. It was close to 7 when I wrapped them. And I didn't show any of this because you can see they're wrapped right there. Things are going well. I didn't video any of it because it's rained here. You can see I've got my controllers covered up there with that tote. It rained through the night, and I had a little break in the rain. So I took advantage of that and wrapped these during that window of time, so that I didn't get everything soaked in the process. So I didn't video any of that. I just did the wrapping real quick and got them back on. Obviously, during a cook, you're restocking the water pan, you're restocking the charcoal, and so I did all that. But it ran through the night on its own, really. I didn't have to do anything as far as tending to the fire or anything like that through the night, especially with this Auber controller that I use. It really maintains the temperature well. Let me pull this up and you can see, dump that water off, but you can see it maintains the temperature really well. So anyway, that's what's been done. And good news on these, there was no pooling on these briskets like we had on the first batch. I made some changes with how I trimmed them up, and then also just the way I laid them in there to make sure that they wouldn't pool. And thankfully, I was successful with that. So No pooling this time, and as you can see, everything's kind of wet out here. But these will finish later today. We'll pull them off and get them chilled, and then I'm planning to slice them all up tomorrow. So interestingly enough, the middle brisket finished before the other two did. I actually expected if anything was going to get done first, it would be the one on the bottom rack, but it wasn't. So about 40 minutes ago, I took off the middle brisket, and you can see the top one is still on there, and then that one on the very bottom rack is still on there as well. Both of those are very, very close to being done. I'm sitting right at about 200 degrees on both of them. I think one of them is 200 and the other one is 201. So it's time to kind of start probe testing these. Usually 203 is kind of the target that everybody talks about. And that's right. I mean, that's what I think too. I mean, that's what I usually target. But it's not just temperature. Like, that gets you in the ballpark. I always tell people within 10 degrees, you're ready to kind of start pushing at it, feeling it with your hands, and at some point probing it, because it's really all about how it feels when you probe it, if it's ready or not. You can kind of tell based on the way it reacts and how it feels. So 200 is certainly in the neighborhood. I should start checking these and see if they're ready or not. I suspect they might need just a little bit more, but they're probably really close. The other one I took off at about 205. Well, it depends on where you poke, obviously, and you don't want to just go crazy poking it. So you want to be careful to just do limited pokes, but strategic ones. And it was somewhere in the neighborhood of 204, 205 when I felt like it was ready and I pulled it. The cook I did a couple days ago, they all three really got ready basically at the same time, within just minutes of each other. So I was able to just kind of pull them off one after the next. This one, not the case. We had the middle one finish faster. Again, not really sure why that was, other than maybe it was a little bit thinner. It was a 15-pound brisket, but it wasn't quite as thick in the center. It was maybe a little more wide and long. So anyway, but nevertheless, that one's off. It's sitting on the counter resting. These two will be coming off just any minute now, and I'll let those rest as well. I mentioned I was going to unwrap them from the butcher paper and rewrap in foil and put them in the refrigerator. I ended up not doing that. I ended up just leaving the butcher paper on them and just wrapping foil around them so it didn't just like get juices all over my refrigerator, and then stuck them in that way. So when we get ready to slice these tomorrow, I'll have to cut the foil and the paper off, or unwrap it rather, and then slice them up, and then I'll rewrap in foil at that point. But anyway, so this is kind of where we're at. I just wanted to give a quick update as we're moving along here. This will go quick for you guys as you watch this back to back to back, but for me, this is probably 3 days into this whole cook experience. So it's pretty cool. It's been neat, and looking forward to obviously the end result, but the process has been fun as well. So I will connect again once we're sort of in the next stage, but for now, these are about ready to come off and rest, and then go in the refrigerator just like we did with the other three. Here we are. The cook is all done. We've got all 6 briskets done up, cooked, ready to go. These are just resting. This one back in the back is the one that's been resting for about an hour now. I took it off about 2 o'clock, and it is now 3. And these two just came off. This one's the big one over here on the right-hand side, the 19-pounder. This one is actually it's 12 pounds, but the 15-pounder was the one that got done first. So anyway, that's what we got going on. You can see just the butcher paper is just saturated on the bottoms, especially in the sides. Looking really good, smells good, it probed great. So I'm just gonna let these rest for a little bit, and then wrap them in foil, put them in the refrigerator for overnight, and we'll be back to slice these up in just a bit. Good morning. We have all the briskets cooked, and it's wedding day. So these are going in the oven to get warmed up, and then in the food warmer to stay warm for the big event later tonight. So this is what I've got, all 6 of them here. I have not looked at these since I pulled them off. Well, there we go. All right, so we got this out of the way. Let's just open these up and see what we're looking at. Got them unwrapped now, and as you can see, this is what we have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Started out with 101 pounds of meat before I trimmed anything, before it was cooked. And I just weighed it. I weighed it with the wrapper on, so that added a little bit of weight, but it came to 57 pounds. So probably it's around 55 once you remove all the paper and the foil and everything. You might have lost a pound, maybe 2 between all 6 of them. So almost a 50% loss from store to table. So this is what we got going on. I'm gonna put it over here. I got my slicing station set up. I'm gonna put them over here, slice them all up, and then I'm gonna wrap them in new foil, and they're gonna go in the oven and eventually the warmer to get up to temperature before we serve it tonight. So now let's do a little taste test. They won't miss this one right here, right here. They won't miss that one. It's cold, but it'll work. Well, I don't know, that might kill somebody. I might have to not take this one today. Very good, very good. I think it'll work. When they're warmed up, they will be even better, but the flavor is really good. The smoke ring is good. Obviously, it's, you know, you're not gonna test if it's gonna bend over because it's cold, it's not warm, but I think it's a winner. We're gonna go with it. Let me get the rest of this thing sliced up, and then I got 5 more to do, and then we warm them up. I do like that brisket. It is go time. The briskets have been warming all day. They took longer than I thought to warm up. I was expecting a few hours, and it was pretty much all afternoon. So if you do this, give yourself a little bit more time for the reheat because it's not as quick as you might think. But they've been warming all day. They've mostly been in this warmer here, although I did work in the oven quite a bit as well. And as you can see, I'm looking all spiffy. But we're headed to the wedding right now, so go time. And briskets I just pulled them out of the warmer. I rewrapped them in a double layer of foil because there was some oozing going on. I wanted to keep them from spilling everything all over the place. They are sitting in a cooler in the back of my van, and we'll just pop this thing open just a little bit. You can see I've got towels all in there, filling them up. I've got 3 on the left side, 3 on the right side. You can't see the briskets, but they're in there. I can smell them, and hopefully this will keep them warm through the wedding and everything so that by the time the reception happens, we are ready to serve it. It will be the perfect temperature. So I did taste test them. It was good. There was some variance between them, but not enough for anybody to really tell, I don't think. So I think we're gonna be all right. And it's time to load up and head that way now. Well, the wedding turned out really nice. The food was wonderful. The brisket was actually really good. This is just a photo I snapped during the reception when it was on the table there, the serving table, after it had been reheated. So you can see it's moist. It was tender. The flavor was delicious. The smoke was good. The only thing that suffered a little bit was the bark, and I think that's just a product of, you know, the process of chilling it and then reheating it versus serving it fresh. So there maybe if I did this again, I would tweak a couple of things to try to help with the bark, but I don't know that you could do a lot different to improve that. Overall, it was a smashing success, and so for this one, we're saying it was A-okay. It was a winner. Catch you guys next time.